Welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, WIZE. Happy International Podcast Day, everyone. I'm excited. My next guest is a fellow podcaster. Cause he's Canadian, and I don't want to do his podcast any injustice, so I'm gonna let him pronounce his podcast name. Welcome to the show, Steven Maxted.
Hello. Hey, Will. Hey, and you would have nailed it. It's a podcast.
I know it is, but it's because I do have a couple of friends that are Canadian and I know about, so I just wanted you to say.
Absolutely. No, for sure. Yeah, and thanks for making time for us to be on here today with you. It's funny you saying that too, because it is National Podcast Day today. So
yes, it is.
Behind screen.
No, but it's because this past weekend I was hosting an event in Pittsburgh with my friend Jeff Ravilla. He's also a podcaster, and my other friend, another podcaster that we've known each other for 4 years. And this past weekend was the first time we ever hung out. Like we've ever been in person in the same room, and because Jeff opened a podcasting theater in Pittsburgh, and we went to support him because the last couple of years he's been doing an event for International Podcast Day, and since it falls on a Monday, we decided to do a Saturday Sunday event, and it was a great experience. And hopefully next year the goal is to have people come do the shows live in the theater. We had mostly everybody was virtual. We did I did my show live, and Maria did her show live, and then we did Jeff's shows live. But our goal is to have maybe half and half, like half virtual and half in the theater. It would be great, and that's the goal that we're working towards for next year. And I was already challenging people. I was like, some of our fellow podcasters that we're good friends with, I was just like, next year you need to be here supporting the theater and then doing the show. So
cool. That
awesome. Was my weekend. But now we're here to talk about you, and how long have you been on this podcasting journey?
You know what? I'm gonna say a year and a half. I think it's about a year and a half. Maybe we were creeping up, like we're doing season 2, but I really started it halfway through the first year. And yeah, that's it was more of a drive just to learn how podcasting worked on the back end.
Yeah.
Truly for myself, it was less planned, I think, than maybe some people would chalk it up to be today. But it was just to learn how to make a podcast ultimately, and then it grew into more than that. We started to get momentum, and I know we had talked some numbers before, but it was this funny little short that really kept things going for a period of time that I had seen on Instagram. And it was, I don't know if these stats are true today, maybe they've adjusted over time, but the one that I saw was 90% of podcasters don't make more than 3 episodes. The 10% that make more than 3 only make 21. So then soon after starting the journey of, I think we made 9 originally. And I was like, okay, cool. We kind of figured this out, started building up my team to help other folks make podcasts, yada, yada. And then we get up to 22. And at that point, people are messaging, asking to be on. How does this work? And I'm like, okay, well, we hit our goal, and maybe we can help, get the voice out there for other, entrepreneurs or high performing people ultimately in the, in our local community, but also connecting, like we connected here and with other folks in business. Actually, one of the funnier top, moments on a podcast for me, just to kind of mention this as we're going here, but I had this funny guy on my first season. He quit his job to help people, be better at fantasy football. And I was kind of like, this is crazy, man. I can't believe you left your job. And then he broke down the numbers, and he does very well, and he helps a lot of people in their fantasy. So it's like, it's really crazy that you get to meet all these, very unique.
It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. I do play fantasy football. So it doesn't surprise. Listen, fantasy football is a huge business here in the United States. It is huge. I'm a part of 2 leagues,
There you go. Right
and
there.
I probably could have used his help.
Yeah.
But this year I started off pretty well, as I did last year. Last year I finished second place in one of my leagues, and then in the other one I kind of tailed off. But anyway, but it is a business, so you know, people. It's amazing what you discover doing your podcast.
Yes.
For me, I didn't know, like, for years I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And I started doing my podcast, and the response I was getting from people was, "Oh man, thank you. I needed to listen to this episode," and that's what it started hitting me. Like, okay, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be
Yeah.
doing your podcast, helping people, sending out a message, showing people things that they don't know, and having guests on like yourself and other. I have coaches, entrepreneurs. Have people come and share in their lives, so people can see that people from all walks of life can accomplish amazing things, and really be able to turn your life around, man. And
Yeah.
it's like you said, it might look like people might think, oh, you do is show up and record and that's it. There goes a lot of work into into doing a podcast. And
Yeah.
for me, I've kind of built my, like, I'm sure like yourself, I've built my own system on how I'm able to get my show ready and going in less than 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
And prior to that, the process would take me a couple of hours. The work that I would have to put in to trying to just structure my show. And now it's like, okay, I've been doing this 4 years now. I have a system in place on what I do, how I do it, and it helps me get my show ready to go.
Absolutely. And it's so funny when you're first getting started on any project, whether it be a business or like you just alluded to in the podcast. I just had a flashback to our first 9. That was my first goal. I'm like, okay, we'll do 9. We'll be good. We'll figure out 9 episodes how to do, certain parts of this to, a beginner level. And then, we're looking on season 2 and already planning for, season 3 on our end and what that's going to look like and making decisions about that. But those first 9, I think back to the time I spent editing, even on platforms like the one that we're using now, or other ones they've evolved a ton. Like we were just mentioning other plugins, different things to make it an easier experience. But even those little things being added in are an extra step when they weren't there, a year ago, or even if you were doing it 4 years ago, I'm sure the tech was not quite where it is today at all. So
Just prime example today. I log into StreamYard and there's a new feature. And that was kind of how I was explaining to you before. Before I would have to press my intro in order to play. Now they have a thing where it has intro, outro.
yeah,
So when you hit start, it asks you, do you want to play your intro? And of course you have it plugged into there, and just so StreamYard has made it so much easier for content creators, podcasters, people who doing shows, whatever, to really I have I have a studio in my home now. Like,
yeah,
I can make content, shows in my home, and not worry about spending thousands of dollars going to some location to record. And no, StreamYard has made it so much easier for me it saves me in editing, because now I don't have to insert my intro. I don't have to take time to put. There's so many things that they've done to make it so much easier for us to create these shows.
yeah. No, 100%. I mean, it's evolving with us over time here. Even, we're going to have to go and do that on ours now just to insert some more formal stuff. But, and then, I mean, as you're planning down the road, I mean, like you were asking, like year and a half in before there, and just like the evolution of it for us ultimately was, and on our journey was just learning how to do this thing. And I kind of had a vision of, well, I mean, originally it was 9 and then it just kind of kept evolving. So now it's kind of indefinite. I don't see it stopping any point. I think actually, in fact, we're really just getting going, almost in like this next phase of what does this look like? Are we going to be more in person? I'm also at a home studio, but we do have spaces where we are. Shout out to Winnipeg. Here, there's a couple spots where we do have partnerships with some guys I know locally here that do have studios in their office space downtown, and we do have kind of an office space with the marketing. So we have a few options of where we could record in, which is fantastic because we certainly don't need it for how much content we do make, even though it's quite a bit. The amount of time that we'd really require a space, it would not make a lot of sense for us to go and invest in a studio at this stage for the podcast. But yeah, between the back end and then making enhancements. I know we chatted there last week here about just getting started is the biggest hurdle. And I mean,
Yeah.
if before now green screen behind and cleaner looking in many ways, but I had purchased this it was like, I don't even know what they call it. It was something off Amazon to like hold up a backdrop, and then this backdrop you can see on like the first few episodes there's like waves through it. It's not quite
Yeah.
tight as how it should be. And looking back on that in terms of both like quality of camera, mic, backdrop, everything, sound, because now we have padding on the walls and extra sensitive mic nowadays to pick up hopefully a higher level of audio. And just sorry, popped in my head here too, but you start to gain that viewership, whether it be on shorts on social media initially, because that is way easier. I mean, it's almost automatic when people are rolling through and they're seeing that, then they get introduced to your show, and then come full circle. We've actually now been approached about helping other folks or even helping host other shows, which I thought was interesting. Now I'm just like, it's weird, but kind of one of those things in business where if you put yourself in the spot, other people will take note that you're willing to. In my mind, I interpret that as you're willing to take the risk to do the thing and put yourself out there. I don't know what totally triggered that reach out for this particular situation. That we'll see where it goes in the podcast realm, but it's just interesting to watch the evolution. It's just like watching other businesses in many ways start and being patient when watching that journey. I know a lot of companies start off with on the extreme side, something like Amazon, right? They were doing books, and then now it's far from books.
Everything. It's everything.
Like people don't associate it as much with that, but I remember back in the day, it was like, okay, great, cool, it's a library. But whether it be a local bakery and they're starting off with one product, or someone starting a company with one product or one service, and companies go through crazy changes over time. There was a documentary I watched last night, as this tangent goes on for me here, but it was on Lamborghini. And I don't know how accurate it is. I mean, what was perfect from the story and what they do to enhance it to make it more sellable on Netflix or whatever. But the storyline there is that they genuinely were a tractor company, right, from years ago, and then they've now then they're showing the evolution of the car, and the guy happened to be into cars and was a mechanic in the war and yada yada, and then that evolution happens. It's maybe not the plan on the outset of it, but how the end result comes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's with anything. Even when with like how you said when you started with your podcast and you had the waves in the background.
yeah.
I remember the rough patches and not having the quality equipment, and like you said, like once I decided that this is something that I wanted to do, then I started investing myself. People think that they have to go out and start investing in themselves instantly. No, because you might not like it. So I wouldn't recommend you go out and spend all that money. But since I fell in love with it, and then I knew it was something I wanted to continue doing, and I felt that, okay, some people are going to give me something very precious, which is their time. And so I want to make sure I have the best quality possible for everyone who's investing time in me. And so that's what I did. So, but people assume that to get into podcasting, you have to go and spend this ridiculous amount of money. No, you have an iPhone, you have a Android phone, you can do it directly from your phone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you don't need the crazy setup, and like you said too, we just started investing over time. I'm like, okay, these things got to look a little sharper, and and hopefully people are taking time to listen to and invest in that. I know one of the more rewarding things on my end have been when folks have been like, hey, like I watched your episode, even going out this weekend, if we want to date stamp this, but end of month, there's a local festival thing that goes on downtown, and went out on Saturday night, and it was almost over. It was weird. It wasn't like a lot of people, but it was just enough. I wasn't actually ready for that. Winnipeg's a big small town. It's like it's
Yeah.
a city. It's about 1 million people, but it's not. It's I don't know. It's strange that way. It was interesting to have that feedback. I mean, I'm also bumping into some folks I want to have on, so I'm kind of bringing it up on some notes. But then there's other folks that are coming and be like, hey, like I saw, that's cool that you're doing this, and um, we've been doing it long enough now, and you're a couple years past us on your journey, and I'm sure it happens, enough times there. It's a whole network of folks, and being able to sit down and record that conversation it's a unique audio and visual asset. I've thought about this quite a bit actually. Outside of doing it for helping other businesses, or getting that exposure out there, it's an interesting like time capsule of your life, kind of. You can, you do that. I don't know if you've thought much about that, but it wanders in my head once in a while, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be weird in the future to
Oh no,
back on this.
like there's certain episodes I know where I'm at in my life, and there's certain episodes that I know, like, okay, this is what I was going through at that time in my life. So kind of
Right.
it's in me. Like I know this episode, so if I look at it and I realize, okay, I'm kind of a little bit off, I know I know where that point in my life,
Yeah.
and it's just been amazing to see just the growth from where I started to now.
Yeah.
Just seeing how I've developed, and like I was when we talked on your show. Um, I wasn't in media. I didn't do acting. I didn't do TV. I didn't do any of that. All the stuff that I've learned, through YouTube University.
Right.
That's where a lot of I learned about editing. I learned about just every piece of equipment that I purchased. I did research on, and I YouTubed it, and trying to find out how do I use this equipment and what's this. And so it's taught me a lot. I've learned a lot. I've applied it to, like you said, you've turned it into a business. I've been able to make some money doing editing and stuff for other people and other podcasters. Because
Yeah.
let's be honest, nobody wants to edit their podcast. No one. That's the reason I transitioned to going live and doing live shows, because I didn't want to edit my show anymore. I was like, yeah, no. I prefer, if
Yeah.
you're gonna pay me, yes, fine. I'll sit down, listen, and edit it. That's because I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
But for me to sit there and do my own show, I'm like, no. I'd rather just do it live, put it out there. It's out there in the world. I can't do nothing about it, so there's no need for me to edit it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's awesome. Very similar energy to here. We spend a little bit of time on our own, but others we actually invest quite a bit more time in for that exact same reason. And the odd thing where we've had to be like, okay, we gotta edit this. I timestamp whatever, 20 minutes in. The internet went down for a minute or something. It was windy that day, and maybe we got to go back in and do something quick. But I feel the same way about it. It's like, hey, this is genuine raw content. We are at like an earlier stage here still. Like it's not, we don't have sponsorship dollars yet.
Yeah.
That has, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but it's wandered into my head a bit because we worked with some podcasts that have actually like monetized on that end of things. And it's definitely a good spend. When I've looked at like other, we'll call it revenue areas for advertising, and how you guarantee views and stuff, and if you have a big enough following, or you get to different stages of minimums between traffic and stuff, I think it could be good, like a great win-win for
You
company.
know what you know what I think I find it best is getting local advertisement dollars, like getting people locally and stuff like that, and the same because then now you're supporting your community and your local community, and now, but they're also supporting you and investing in you. So
Very much.
my recommendation is to start locally and start with people like I've gotten people to advertise on my podcast, but it's been people I know. It's people that I have a friend who had he's he has a brokerage in a real estate brokerage in Brooklyn, and so I had him promote the show and come out, and he was actually a guest on the show as well. I've had a friend who she does taxes, and she has a website where she can do tax, have people all over the country do their taxes, and so
Sweet.
she did about 2-3 months of advertisement on my show.
Yeah.
So there's people that you can go and do things with, but I've realized that even if I don't get advertisement money, I'm that doesn't make me successful. Believe me, I would love to make tons of money doing but if I don't, I'm not gonna be upset about it, because I feel like I'm still providing a service. I'm doing something to help people out,
Yeah.
and so, but yes, there's other features I use. So I use Podmatch to find my guests. And
Nice.
what Podmatch does is, for certain guests, they will pay you, and I don't charge anyone to be on my show. Let's put that out there. But
Yeah.
by me using Podmatch and using their guests, and they will pay me a percentage for certain interviews, and and I pay $6 a month for the service, right? And every 2, 3 months, 4 months, I get some money deposited into my PayPal account. It's The threshold is 100. Once you hit $100, they they send it to your account.
Right.
So I
Huh.
get this 3 or 4 times a year, $150 each every three. That's a pretty decent amount compared to me. I'm
Yeah.
spending probably like $70, $78 a year. I'm They're paying me 150 or so that's $600 a year. So it's a beginning, and I appreciate Alex Sanfilippo for doing that, because as independent podcasters, people spend a lot of money in what they do, and they
Yeah.
don't see a return in their investment. And at least he's given them the opportunity to be like, okay, this can generate some money, and it inspires people to go out there and get those big sponsors and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Totally.
it's having people like that show that, hey, listen, here we are. We're a business, but we believe in what independent podcasters are doing. We're giving back to the community, and this is how we're doing it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a great point that you made there about, yeah, going out, maybe looking for that stuff, or maybe not. We don't charge either. It's so funny. Sometimes people are like, "Well, how much does it cost?" And I'm like, "No, no, we host it. We want to have you on."
Yeah,
But
there's
yeah,
no
just
charge.
yeah, it's our time, and I hope people, appreciate a lot of everyone has been really awesome. We've had on and help spread. They share the shorts too, and it's a great opportunity to get out there and tell your story. Without having to pay for radio ads or different things. Those are still great avenues too, but this is a little
Yeah,
bit different with a more of a private style of conversation that people can hopefully get out there for our side when we're doing it for other businesses and high performing folks, whether it be related to charities. There's a lot of athletes on the high performing side, that runners more so. We seem to have a lot of those on in our mix, and they are often fundraising for different things. We just had a gentleman on for September, I believe it is, like men's mental health or more like that way. So it's pretty interesting. He's very passionate about that. Runs a ridiculous length of distances for his charity stuff, and it's very inspirational to hear that. And then that's going to a good cause on the other end. So we can be part of that storytelling. Awesome. That's kind of a different way to hopefully get that word out there.
yeah, that definitely is. It's important to give back, and it's important to support. Uh, for me, I'm very supportive of my fellow podcasters that I'm really good friends of, um, because I just feel like how do I expect anyone to support me if I'm not supporting others? So I'm always cheering on my friends. I'm always giving advice of new podcasters who come on and are seeking. I'm like an open book. Like if you have a question, because I don't want people to go through some of the same pitfalls I went through. If I can help someone avoid delaying their podcast or delaying their growth, I'm more than willing to answer questions, have people come on and I'll chat with them, and that to me is important because I know how I've had people along my journey see that I'm serious and dedicated to the craft,
Yeah.
and have been hey, listen, anything you need, come out, reach out to me. If I can help you with it,
Yeah.
I will. And so I feel I have to return that to people, because I've had that support. So why not give that support back?
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Anytime that we can, same boat here. We have a few other local podcasts like within our area, but we're kind of reaching out a little bit further with some of our stuff now. But yeah, I'd love to help them if we can. And there's different things. I mean, when you're in the space, you notice some little things. It's not necessarily like critiques, but kind of little. You just like you notice how different setups are probably done, whether it be mics or their background, or they live, or they virtual. But just understanding what their setup probably is. Like it's not here nor there, not good nor bad, no nothing. Like
You're
I
not,
always,
yeah, you're not trying to tear them down. You're just like, listen, this is something I saw. Maybe
yeah,
you might want to tweak this, or maybe you might put this type of lighting on. Or it's
totally.
whatever little is. I'm not trying to bash anyone. That's not my goal. My goal is to make you a better podcaster. And
Yeah,
so I just tell you how listen. It's my opinion. If they don't like it, they don't have to run with it.
yeah,
But for the most part, I don't. I feel like a lot of people are very receptive, especially when you're just completely honest. When you say it
yeah,
the right way, people will be like, okay, I understand. But if you
totally.
come off arrogant and saying like, oh, you need to no, just be like, listen, from what I see, this is what you can do a little bit work on.
Yeah,
Don't be like, oh, this is what you need to do. No, it's like from my perspective, this is what I think.
yeah.
Wrong with it
Right.
or not?
You're totally right. It's not the what, it's the how. The
Yeah,
delivery is important
yeah,
sometimes.
oh yeah, it is. It is.
But yeah, no, and it's sweet to see other podcasts being successful, because the other side of it too is you're not all gonna have the same like guests. You don't have some people don't, they might cover similar topics. I found even the stuff that I listen to, it's not that I don't enjoy the potty, but some people, it's like some voices you don't like to listen to as much either. So there needs to be different takes
Yeah,
on
no,
it.
no, it is.
Thing.
It is. It is. There is
So
no two podcasts are the same, even if they might be doing the same type of topic. But like, yeah, the voice might be different. Every podcast is unique in their own way.
yeah,
Um, like me and you, we kind of talk about the same things. We talk about mindset. We talk about entrepreneurship. We talk about all these different things, but we have two completely different shows.
yes, yeah, very much so.
Two very completely different shows, but that's because we have different personalities. We want different things from our shows. So
Yeah,
but your show was great.
yeah,
I had
likewise.
a great time on your show. It was a great time. You're a great host. You definitely know what you're doing. And so it's and I kind of learn when I go on other podcasts, right?
Yeah,
I kind of look at like what are they doing different that might, and I won't exactly copy what they're doing, but I like if I like a certain thing, I'm like, oh man, I like that. Maybe I
yeah,
might incorporate that one day into what I'm doing.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Well,
yeah,
yeah, it's kind of, I mean, well, that I'll play into like the fitness side, but even doing I did a drop-in class that I haven't done. I tried CrossFit like 10 years ago. It was
yeah,
short-lived. I just didn't have, I was juggling other stuff. I don't know if it was totally my thing, but I went with a friend to go try this other gym, and even going there, I'm like, oh, you know what? There's a couple exercises here that I want to bring back to my home gym. So very comparable, right? It's not like you're gonna copy the whole fitness thing, but you're gonna pull from those and try them out maybe for a little bit and see how that feels. And add that in. It's just, rounding the ball, always getting, sharpening the saw, I guess we'll say too, grinding it out, getting a little better, pulling different things, whether it be, here for, adjusting how the background looks, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you see someone else do something, you're like, oh, right, okay, like that's like a neat thing. And if you're both improving, everyone probably has room to get better. It's just that acceptance to be like, hey, like, are you the one with the growth mentality, like running the show and able to, to make that better, or is someone else pushing you to help make that better too? If maybe you're on a team or in a company and you're wanting to make a podcast as well, like that's always an interesting thing that I've discussed quite a few times, because I see what it's done for, like we just mentioned, like bumping into folks, or the networking side of it. That's kind of like the before and after the show energy that can happen and stuff. It's always very interesting, and you're getting I always love and I've said this a couple times, maybe on even my own, but it's like at a certain point you can't fake the podcast either. This is why I really like doing them with folks, because like there's a point in conversation where you can kind of, maybe even initially too, I always find it's like the first like 10 minutes you're kind of like a little stiffer, both as a host and the other, and then all of a sudden it's kind of flowing a little bit more, and you get to really hear from that person. Ultimately, we share a lot of storytelling on social media, online, with pictures and some videos, but hearing the person talk, the expression be like right from the horse's mouth kind of thing, is literally them telling their story, is so powerful. And often, if sometimes I compare this, I don't know if it's the greatest one, but you go on like a food experience or a wine experience and traveling, you often never forget what they told you as the story there. You remember it being a very good experience all the way through. You'll remember a couple of the tidbits that they told you on the journey, about their business and their story. And I think podcasting is kind of a lighter version of that. You're obviously not, sight unseen in that case, and tasting and, flavors and all the other things that go along with our memory. But yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of it too.
Definitely. So with your podcast, where do you see it going in the next couple of years?
Yeah, what's a good question, especially when we're reflecting for, we'll call it season 3 coming up. And I've started to look at that a little bit differently too, because there was 2 things that we started doing after we kind of get over that, 22 episode, like speed bump, hurdle, whatever you want to call it. And then we're like, okay, we're going to keep producing this. And my team helps do a lot of our stuff on the back end, whether it be editing or, writing up bios, everything going out, trying to make sure, it's all running smooth. But we're just kind of going through the debate right now for season 3. Like, what we've tried to do the last 2 seasons, we've been pretty successful at this, is, one episode a week is kind of like the minimum. We're trying to get up to 100 for the end of the year. That's kind of a more immediate goal. I'm pretty confident we'll get there. And then we're trying to take, in a weird, very micro way, but like December off from recording altogether. We might do an internal recording, but last year we found December was very busy. Everyone is, we'll call it the holiday season as a general, no matter what you're celebrating. And, most of the team is celebrating Christmas on my team. And, they want to take a week or almost a couple weeks off the month. So we're going to try to get ahead of the curve there as an immediate goal, so we don't have to stress about production and have things flowing there. But as we get into the new year, and and we're just kind of debating, like, do we go more in person and go like 2 locations almost? Because a lot of them are businesses, most of them are local. But if we were to do outside of local, should we do that? And I think I'm just stuck on how that could be managed, especially for a podcast that's self-funded basically. Because if we're doing bigger travel, that would be really cool, and going to remote locations or doing different things like that. Because we have some cameras that we're not currently using to record right now, but there's like a 3 camera setup that we invested in, and just kind of like, that would be fantastic to be able to go on site. And we've experimented with that a little bit. But if not, virtual has so much reach. Like, us, for example, we would probably not be doing this if we're in person. It would take a very long time to, make that meetup happen. And where is it at? And so just toying with that. But I think down the road we will, we're really starting to get some traction on our end on the analytics. It's something that we spend time reviewing with other companies and on the marketing stuff that we do, and we help other folks produce podcasts. But when we're looking at our own analytics for a podcast. We're at a stage right now, I guess, time stamping in season 2, but we're well over 100,000 views between our shorts and long form, everything combined right now, which is frankly not a ton of views. If you're looking at folks that go viral on other clips, they'll get, 1 million on one. It's not a huge deal, but for us, in terms of being such a general topic,
Yeah.
we're pretty excited about that, to start to see the consistency, and now it's really starting to lean up. So looking at that and just finding ways to help other companies grow, and that's all organic from us. We're not currently doing any paid ads along with that. So if you spent any time, and anyone listening, in spending money on paid ads on Meta or LinkedIn or Google, whatever that may be or look like, but let's say it's Meta, it's genuinely like putting gas on fire if you do have an organic following that's quite strong. So do we start to boost certain posts every month for other folks to help our podcast and get the word out about other things? Just figuring out, like what exactly what does that look like? I think that we will probably stay virtual though for the most part. If we did like a special, maybe we'll go in person and do that. And then I think taking it 1 year at a time, but I don't see this stopping ultimately. So I'm not sure what past next year specifically looks like.
How long are your seasons? How many episodes?
Well, if we're doing one a week there, it'll be about 50 a season, just over that if we're really doing one a week. And then the episodes are about 45 minutes to an hour long, usually around 45, though we've hit
Yeah.
kind of where we need to be for content.
That's where I kind of been like consistently is 45 minutes. On
Yeah,
occasion you do 35 minutes, sometimes do
yeah,
45 minutes,
yeah,
sometimes you even reach the hour plateau. So but
yeah,
I try to keep it within that 45 minutes. I feel like that's a good enough time to really get your
absolutely.
conversation flowing and get the message out there. So
Yeah.
that's how about average where I'm at is about 45 minutes.
Yeah, I could see how, and I've listened to some other podcasts, and I used to listen for, just listening and maybe even background noise and stuff. But now I listen, kind of what we were saying before too, to be like, okay, what are they covering? How did that flow go? What were some of the words and stuff that they were using to fill in different parts of that podcast
Hmm.
uh, in general? But I could see how doing like a longer episode would be neat to do. Obviously, it comes with like a much bigger file size on the back end, things that people don't think about for transferring those files around and even posting them. It's a little bit more manual, or it can be in ways. Um, so yeah, but you would get a lot more content, and you would definitely be able to dive deeper with someone over that period of time, because it almost goes through little waves within those episodes that are like that 2.5 hour up to 3 hour mark. That's a long time. That's a good shift. Sometimes I get off an episode and I'm kind of tired because you're so engaged in listening to the person and talking yourself and being
Yeah.
sharp. You're like, okay, I need a little break between episodes or whatever I'm doing next.
Yeah, that's why I transitioned to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and for me it was just like, all right, I'll do those 3 days because I want to go live. I'll upload once a week to my audio podcast. So I've, like I said, it was earlier. It's about implementing a system and putting it in there, like
Yeah,
getting the system to go so that now I have everything flowing so much easier, and now I can focus my energy on something else and not focus on that and worry about that. And so doing the lives 3 a week is fun for me. It's exciting. I get to like I wish our episode I'm not gonna be able to put it live. I'm gonna have to upload it
yeah,
because I am booked into March, and I'm not complaining. I am
yeah.
happy. That is not a issue. That is a blessing to be able to have my show booked into March, and so I have to record this episode because I didn't want you because I wanted to take advantage of the fact that I was on your show recently, and I just wanted to keep it about the same
Yeah, yeah,
time.
the energy in there. Yeah, for sure.
I didn't want it to be like you spoke to me in March, and now this recording is happening. And I mean, you spoke to me in September, and now this our recording is happening in March. I was like, no, I wanted to keep it
Yeah.
within the same time frame. So
No, totally. And we usually do actually like record ahead and then release on Fridays. And so then
yeah,
sometimes we will record like a 2 or 3 in a day. I find that's kind of like my max on recordings. And then, you know, it's kind of a neat thing to have that catalog built out as well, though, too, right? If you are starting to, yeah, have those things built out
Oh yeah,
ahead.
because you never know. I like doing these also because you never know when someone's going to cancel on you, and
Oh,
since you might not
absolutely.
have a
Yeah.
guest, so having shows in the bank where
Yeah.
you haven't released them yet, and you're like, okay, I don't have a live guest today. Here goes this pre-recorded show. I hope you enjoy it. Like, so yeah, it has its advantages, definitely.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned that though, but yeah, and that is always the struggle too. Schedules, and we have a system that folks book on through us once we send them the password to get in. So you can't just, you know, anyone. A bit we didn't have a password, and then all of a sudden we had. I don't even know. It got out there. I was like, okay, I'm not sure if this totally makes sense. I'm glad that you want to be on the show, but we'll have to like have a little meeting beforehand. But
Yeah.
most of the time now, it comes in as almost like a referral, and it is very aligned with what we're chatting about and stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So,
no, and that's why I use Podmatch is because they match the guest with you. You set the criteria, and they'll match the guest. And honestly, I've done 173 episodes. I've done 173 interviews, right?
yeah,
Out of the 173, maybe 3 or 4 were like, yeah, I'm not releasing that. But for the
right.
most part, 160 something episodes
Yeah,
have been great guests where I can that like, okay, yeah, this is definitely going to be used on my audio as well as being streamed to YouTube and everything. So, but
totally.
and nothing's perfect, but I'm happy with the results that I've gotten from using Pod Matches. It is a struggle to find guests. Especially when you first starting. It's a real struggle. Like when I would reach out to people, the first question to me was, "Well, how many downloads or listens do you get?" I'm like, "I'm just
Right.
starting out. I'm brand new. Oh well, when you get your numbers up, come see me." I'm like, "All right." But now I got my numbers up and I haven't gone to see them. So
Yeah. Well, it's at the healthy balance I was kind of, you know, mentioning before around even startups and companies. I don't like a weird thing on that note is sometimes you would get a better uh, quality production or product or service starting off with a company versus when they get bigger, then it's like they have to scale back or pull back their service or product.
yeah,
So it's cheaper and it's more profitable because they've grown. And initially they had the best product on the market or service, and maybe it's better to start off earlier on.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
Oh man, this has been great, man. This has been a wonderful episode. But now is the time where you get the solo screen, you get to plug away, let everybody know where they can see the podcast, where they can check you out, everything.
okay, awesome, sounds great. Okay, well, yeah, Steven Maxted here. Thanks so much, Will, again for having us on. It's a podcast. So on the socials, it's ehpodcast.canada on most of our social media platforms. So basically, if you look up us on YouTube, A Podcast Canada, as well as on Spotify and other streaming services, you'll find us on there. Should be a yellow logo with us, unless that changes in the future. And myself and guests talking about high performing folks in business and athletics, mainly right now. So thanks so much for having us on here, Will, and look forward to seeing this released.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine, brother. Man, the collaboration happened because of StreamYard. Because StreamYard also has a
Yeah,
feature where they connect fellow podcasters and shows through StreamYard itself. And so you sent me a message. I was like, "Hey, cool. We both
yeah,
agreed to appear on each other's show, and it's been fun, man. I had a great time on your show. Hopefully, you had a good time on mine.
yeah. This is awesome.
It's great to be able to collaborate with fellow podcasters.
Yeah,
Like I said, we all have different styles and but it's just the energy and being able to have a fellow podcast on and help shine light on what you're doing in your show and hopefully people from who watch my show can go transition and watch your show. And that's what we want. We want that's a way. That's a tip for fellow podcasters out there. Go appear on other podcasts.
Yeah,
You never know who in their audience might appeal. That you might appeal to them, and they'll come and check out your podcast. But it's a great thing that you do go out and collaborate with other podcasters, especially if you want to get your show out there. That's the only way. That's one way that you will help grow your podcast, is being a guest on other shows.
absolutely. And you nailed it. It is all about collaboration. It's a really cool app that StreamYard does have that we were able to connect on there.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. But thank you, Steven, for being a guest. I greatly appreciate it. Don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show and we'll chat a little bit off the air. But
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being a great guest, man. I greatly appreciate it. And we're definitely gonna collaborate again. It's always my pleasure to have fellow podcasters come on and hang out and talk and just chill out and just show people who. To me, I like doing it because I want my guests to feel like they can just be themselves when they come on. They can just come out, hang out, and talk, and let people see their true selves. Just come out and see, like, hey, oh man, this is a cool guy. Let me check out what he's doing, and that's how I try to just make my guests just feel at home and just have some great conversation.
Absolutely. Oh, much appreciated.
All right, let me close out the show and we'll chat a little bit.
Absolutely.
All right, another great episode is in the books. Shout out to my Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J, love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, love you and appreciate you. Big shout out to Steven Maxted for Maxted for coming through and sharing his podcasting journey with us. Big shout out to Jeff Ravilla and Maria Daniels for the great weekend I had with you guys. I'm looking forward to next year. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless y'all. Be safe. You know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.